What's going on, Chicago? I am back like I never left. It's your boy, Pastor Kevin, and I'm here with my main man, Jedidah Brown. What's going on with you, bro? How you feeling, man?
Going on, bro? Glad to be here.
Good. I see it's No Shave November, huh?
No, yes, sir. No Shave November.
Because you're usually a clean dude, man. You stay ready like Freddie, man. But glad to have you on the show today. Chicago, this is somebody you want to know, somebody you want to talk to, because this young man right here, hey, he's a young man, but he got a senior type of spirit, man. He does some great things in our communities, in our city right now. I can't wait to talk to you, man, and see what's going on. I want to pick your brain. I want to see what you got going on, and we're going to do just that. So don't forget, I'm filling in for the good doctor, DTycoon. She not in today, so I'm going to hold it down for her. Shout out to her right now. And this is a live call-in show, so you can call that number at the bottom of the screen, 312-738-1060. Can TV, come on, hit us up when you're ready. So, I know I just told them who you are, but I want you to get a little more in depth and tell them, I'm saying, who you are right now, Mr. Brown, if you don't mind.
So, I mean, I'm no different from people watching the screen. I am a born and raised citizen of Chicago, and I mean the same quality of life issues that people have felt on the south and the west side of the city. I use my platform as as a leader of an organization, Chicago Life, to basically stand against those injustices. They call me an activist.
They call you an activist, but it's something that you have already been doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, some people believe leaders are born, and some people believe leaders are made. What's your viewpoint on that? I mean, because you are a leader, we got a lot of other leaders doing things, and I want to know your viewpoint on what is a leader? Is a leader made, or is a leader born? What's your view on that?
Wow, that's heavy. I think that as far as getting involved, you can't pick it. It has to pick you. Whatever your injustices are, that you experience on quality of life issues you're experiencing, it picks you. But you're born, I believe, with the DNA of your family, and I come from a fighting bloodline, so that's why.
Okay.
You know, it's a little bit of both, I guess, but I do know that I sure didn't pick this line of work.
And that's usually how it goes, man. We don't choose this, it chooses us, but I thank God that it chose you, and that, you know, you took the reins to do something about the injustices that we do face in our communities, in our city, and not only in Chicago, but around the nation, because if you know, just from seeing what's going on in our city, it's just a precursor to what goes on around the nation. And this young man not only fights here, but he's got a voice all around his country, and I thank God that he's able to have that kind of voice. But I want to know this too, since they call you an activist, what actually got you into activism?
What got me? Second chances. So many people wonder how they can get involved, and I think I was one of those that were very fortunate to recognize that, you know, I could have been a statistic of being shot and killed, or I really could be incarcerated. And what I recognize is because I'm a believer in God.
Come on.
I believe that when God spared my life from a lot of things and made it clear to me that He was doing it, I found purpose in that. And I promised to God that if He would help me find my voice, that I would fight for other people who didn't know they had theirs.
Now that's heavy right there.
Yeah.
So like when you mentioned purpose, and I'm a firm believer that if you understand your purpose, you can actually maximize your potential. Because we believe that, like, there's a lot of tragedies in life, but the biggest tragedy to me, in my opinion, is not death. It's not losing things. The biggest tragedy in life to me is living a life and not knowing what your purpose is here on earth. So that's a big thing to know. So if you heard it right here first from Jedidah Brown, that understanding your purpose, man, you'll be able to do a lot of other things in your life to help not just yourself but others. So that's what got you into activism, man. So like, they don't know. See, they think you're just famous for one incident or a few incidents that happened involving this guy Donald Trump. Now, I mean, it made you a YouTube sensation. You already was known in Chicago, already known the work that you were doing, you know, after the release and before the release of the Laquan McDonald video, some things that you were doing, making noise in our communities about the injustice, not just by police and the powers that be in the system, but also what goes on in our own communities amongst ourselves. So let's get some clarity about that, because people think you just came on the scene, and we're going to get back to the Trump thing, but they think you just came on the scene, you know, after this video or things of that nature. So what's your history as far as it goes with activism?
But like I said, I've been doing activism before I knew that that's what it was called.
Okay.
I organized my high school students to basically, I'm trying to figure out where to even start with this. I'll just say this. People mostly do recognize me for the Donald Trump situation, but I helped with organizing, finding the killers of Tyshawn Lee.
Okay.
Antonio Smith, trying to basically I started my activism in Chicago. I actually started trying to bridge the divides because it's a very segregated city.
Yes, sir.
It's a city with two different sides, with two different stories. You got the north side story, and then you got the south and the west side story.
Come on.
And I tried to bridge that divide and bring some kind of multicultural unity in this very complex city. And in doing that, starting the Young Leaders Alliance, I recognized also that there was no transition plan, it seemed, for the older generation to kind of pass the baton.
Okay.
And so that's when I became most notable, trying to get the Jesse Jackson and the Father Flaggers and the Corey Brookses of our city to also work with us younger activists. But then doing that, we've had no shortage of crises in our city, from the murder rate, from the elected officials that have been corrupt going to jail, getting rid of our former superintendent of police Gary McCarthy. There's been so many things. You cannot rest in activism in Chicago. But the Donald Trump thing is what got the hoopla. But the truth is that there are so many people that are on the ground every day doing great work that never gets any attention. And I'm just one of those.
Absolutely.
Just like that.
So speaking of Donald Trump, so like what sparked you or motivated you to actually go in and do what you did as far as the Donald Trump incident when you went on stage? That's a bold move. It took a lot of courage. Let the people know, because some people, they might not know about it. They don't know the whole truth behind it. So what motivated you to go do what you did at that Donald Trump rally?
Which is jump on the stage at the Donald Trump rally. I jumped on the stage when Donald Trump tried to bring his campaign right here to Chicago. The reason I jumped on the stage is because of what I felt while I was in the rally. And let's not act like we didn't see the rallies that before it came to Chicago. We saw a black girl get punched in the face.
That's right.
Pushed around by a group of white men, or black young men get punched in the face, who then followed up with saying we should have killed them. The rhetoric of Donald Trump against women and minorities and immigrants and just disgusting. So anything that's going to come in our city, now mind you, I didn't have to get paid for it, and I don't have to get paid for it, Donald Trump. We was not going to allow Donald Trump to come in our city unchallenged. And once they made the announcement that it was being canceled, I saw the stage, but the crowd got chaotic and very contentious, and I saw the stage. It was very clear, it was very well lit, and I felt led to go to the stage to get out a different message.
Go to the light, young man.
The stage was free. Donald Trump's not gonna speak no use to letting him waste all his money he spent on the convention, and then I'd be no speaker. So I ran up to the stage
Jedidah Brown?
To say, hey, Chicago, America's already great without the hatred, and I was actually shocked that Donald Trump has so much support in our city. I didn't expect there to be so much support for a campaign like that in Chicago, but I'm very glad that's not just me, but Chicago shut it down.
That's right, that's right. So you heard it here first, Jedidah Brown, because what we got to realize is people tend, like you just mentioned it before I can even get it out, people tend to believe that, activists and protesters, they got a negative connotation about what it is that we do, and what's some of the our other brothers and sisters that are out there doing this on the front lines every day. Some that's behind the scenes doing work. It's rumors going around you getting paid, other individuals getting paid to shut down rallies and shut down things with Donald Trump and other individuals, man, which is kind of ridiculous to me. But you're here, you can address that because, I want people to understand the work that you all do, the work that we all do is strictly from our hearts. We strictly want people to know that we care about our communities, what goes on in them, and who's going to get the opportunity to run them and make the decisions in them. So can you say that something about, can you touch on that before we take this call?
I think that you don't always follow the headlines or the trends, you make them. And you know the realities behind the headlines. Like right now, there are very much so a lot of people actively working very diligent and very hard to mend the relationship between the community and the police. It's a very big crisis in our city, in our country. And so activists are sometimes limited to that one headline that's put in the media. You don't get to know the person that's behind all of it. And so again, Donald Trump, that's the flavor of the day. But the truth is that there are individuals like yourself, like me, like the Jamals and the Lamans, etc., that literally spend every single day fighting for a better quality of life. And I really wish that narrative got its the right amount of time.
So we're going to take a caller right now. So send them on through. Caller, are you there?
Hi, I sure am. This is Reverend Brown. How are you?
Hey, Doc, how you doing today?
Hey, Reverend.
I am doing fine. Sorry I was not able to be with you all on the show, but I wanted to call in so that I could be a part of. I know you all have other callers before me, but of course this is my show, so I can call in. I would like to say thank you, Jedidah Brown, for being a guest on the show today. It is such an honor to have you on the show today, my brother.
I'm so glad to be on.
Listen, I heard you all talking about the Donald Trump situation. I also want to be sure that you all let the people know just how important and vital this is for them to get out there and vote.
Absolutely.
Get out there and vote on November the 8th. And actually, those that may not know, they can go and vote early, at their local libraries, and, they don't have to go to the actual poll. But just want to, to ask you and Brother Jedidah to really stress how important it is for people to go and vote.
I think that if you don't vote, you don't have a voice. You cannot complain if you don't vote. And it takes about, 10 minutes out of your day. I've already voted for who I choose to be the presidential candidate, my choosing. But I think what people don't recognize is that if you don't vote, you're not represented. Because politicians particularly cater to the areas where people utilize their voices. And so I'm really, I'm not going to say who to vote for. I'll tell you who I don't like, Donald Trump. That's clear. Ain't no way to hide that. I don't rock with Donald Trump. But it doesn't matter if you do, if you don't. If you're not one of those people that don't want to act like it's only two parties because there are other people that are running for president, you got to use your voice. You got to vote. And it does matter at the end of the day. I ran for office at one point, and I remember one of the hardest things that I was trying to get people to understand is that, number one, you have to engage. And number two, you got to vote. You got to do your research, know your candidates, and you got to vote. And you got time. And not just for the president, but we got judges that are running. You got state reps that are running. Your life, you know what? I'll put it like this. If you don't vote, don't mean that they're not going to influence your life. So why don't you make sure that your voice is at the table?
That's right. That's right. We got another call. We're going to take another call while you're here. Call, are you there?
Yeah, my name is Michael. I was calling what he's going to do with the sign, the Donald.
Oh, fine. What you gonna do with the sign? Oh, you saw that too, huh, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Mike, today it went on Facebook Live today. I've delivered the sign back to Donald Trump Towers. I gave them the sign. It's not in the same condition that it was in when I got it, but they definitely got the sign back today. We was doing it live.
All right.
Hey, man, we appreciate your callers. We got to get people calling in, but I got a few more questions I would like to ask you. Now, I heard you mention people that's on the ground, that's out here doing a lot of great work, not just yourself, but I heard you, shout out to all these individuals. I might not know them all by name, and if I don't know, so I charge it to my head, not my heart. The J. Mal Greens of the world, Nina Morris's of the world, William Calloway, Camilla Williams, who's also in Washington, D.C. right now, advocating for gun laws right now at this very moment, Martinez Sutton, who else, man? Like you got out here, T.O. Harden, man. Anita Clark. So it's a lot of people out here doing some work, man, that you might not hear about, might not see. Because you might see the people that you see on the front lines out here doing stuff. But it's people out here, they like, the Reverend Dr. Brown that's we on the show for right now, so it's a lot of people that do a lot of things that that goes unnoticed, that people don't see on the surface, that they don't see on these TV cameras, they don't see these things. But, we want people to understand that, it's a multi-level, multi-layered type of movement and type of fight. So like when you see the ones that's out there and you see them in those cameras, those are the ones that are meant to be out there on those cameras, on those front lines, because those are the ones, like you said earlier, that's going to fight for the ones that don't have a voice. Those are the ones that's going to be out there making noise when nobody else will make noise. Frank Chapman, CPAC, the whole CPAC Alliance, and everybody. So this question I got to ask you, because I got to know, like, what can be done to change the landscape of our city and the issues that we facing as far as the system that we living in and the people that's running it right now, the corruption and all those kind of things.
That's another loaded question. First off, I want to say that I don't think that Chicago should be known as the murder capital. It should be known as the activism capital as well, because there are a lot of people here fighting for a lot of great things.
That's right.
And really what needs to happen for our city is that we got to stop accepting. We got to stop settling. And we gotta unify and fight a little bit harder, a little bit louder, and a little bit more together in unity. And what I mean by that is we've gotten some victories, but we got a very long road to go. There's so many things that are ailing the quality of life, and black people particularly are being literally shipped out of Chicago in droves, moving out and or dying.
Yes.
Chicago is on track to having 4,000 people shot. Now, we only highlight the number of those that have been killed, but imagine that this year alone, over 3,600 people have had a bullet in their body.
Wow.
And or a bullet wound. And so what we got to do is, number one, we really got to get our people educated on what's going on, because there's a lot of corruption that still goes on in our city. And we can't keep on electing these same individuals to these same seats who are complacent and corrupt and dysfunctional, and or trying to make sure that they save the spots for their friends or for people that's going to have allegiance to them. We need people who are going to go against this system in the way that it is, because it's a buddy system in Chicago.
Absolutely.
We got to break it. We got to break the buddy system.
Got to break. The system was not designed for us, wasn't built for us, so we got to make sure that we got to put people in place to make this system work for the people that's that's voting, that's paying their taxes, that's doing all these things, so.
For example, they're talking about a $100 million fund that's supposed to be invested into the city of Chicago's neighborhoods. Well, let's be honest. The city of Chicago does not have $100 million tangibly ready to invest in underserved communities. But that's how the headline it comes across. The truth is that not only is that money not available that they're hoping to really securely obtain, but they're going to put that money in the hand of project managers who are supposed to look for individuals with social enterprises and or individuals that are doing things in development. Well, if you got a community that's been consistently underdeveloped and people don't have the ability to pursue their passion or their dreams or their businesses, who are you going to really end up investing that money with? It's not going to be the people who need it most.
Absolutely not.
Which is a failing government. So but everybody saying, oh, we got $100 million coming. Chicago, no, you don't. Chicago, you got a headline and it's misleading, and we got to do our research, and that's why we got to come together, fight, and get the truth out there.
We've been hoodwinked, man. Don't think you got no money nowhere, because if it was, TIF money would still be around, do things they're supposed to be doing in underserved communities. But we got another caller. We're going to take a caller right now. Caller, are you there?
Hi, yes. My question to you, Jedidah, is what would your advice be to the community as far as how can we get the violence out of the community instead of just blaming it on the officers and the politicians and the government and the president? How can we make our community better, starting with ourselves? What would your advice be for that?
I think the only way to stop gun violence is value. When I deal with shooters, the thing that make them think twice about taking a life is that they got something more valuable than putting themselves in that position. So as this is what I tell people all the time: rules without rebellion breeds relationship. And so you hear everybody say put the guns down, but you don't hear enough people telling them what they can pick up, and or enough people out there making impartations or sowing into people's lives who are plagued with maybe mental illness or a lack of economic opportunity or no spiritual identity, etc., etc., etc. So what I tell people who if you really want to deal with gun violence, we can start at something very simple. You can get to know everybody who live on your block. And people would not believe the kind of impact of what it would be to just start caring about where you live and where you know your neighbors, keep your block clean, talk to every single young person that's on your block, not based on what you see, but based on where you see them at, but based on where you see them going, and develop a relationship, because these shooters are our children, our cousins, our nephews, our nieces, our neighbors. And I believe relationships could really curtail that. That's a philosophical answer. But more tangibly, what can be done? You got to keep on blaming the elected officials. They have the responsibility of our public safety, and our police departments are still not reflecting us, so we need pressure to make sure that our law enforcers represent and reflect the community. You cannot have a predominantly black community patrolled or policed by individuals who are not a part of their community. You're not going to have the trust, you're not going to have the confidence, and that's why they can't solve a lot of these murders in Chicago. And then the next thing is we got to start creating activities. There's nothing to do. If you're on the south side of Chicago, think about 5 activities that you can take someone to that's going to be credible and valuable and effective for our young people. Just those really simple things, I think, will make a difference. I hope that answers your question.
And that's so big right now because I heard a young lady say that, instead of blaming the elected officials, the police, and start with ourselves. Of course, we got to do our own housekeeping. We got to start with ourselves. Accountability is a big thing in our communities. And like he said, be accountable in your house, on your own block, and get to know your neighbors. And bigger than that, like he said, relationships are so important. Yeah, they are so important because if I know you as a person, your dreams, your aspirations, and I know as a black man, us living where we come from, Inglewood, the West Side, Chatham, no matter where we are in these underserved communities, we got to understand that we've been devalued by officers, by elected officials, by people of other races and everything like that. So we just got to call it for what it is. When you're not valued by someone else, it's hard for you to see value in yourself. You understand what I'm saying? So if I got a diamond, I'm going to see the value in me because everybody knows that I'm a diamond. They always speaking about how valuable diamonds are. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. Diamonds are, you come from coal and a diamond can come out of it. If you keep telling me that I'm a coal, and even under the pressure that I won't be a diamond, that's going to make me understand or look at myself in a certain light. So I got to try to find somebody like Jedidah and myself and anybody else that's telling us that we are special. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. We are, unique. We are kings and queens. We are people that have value. Then we'll start valuing ourselves like that. But some things I want to talk about is before we start.
I want to make sure I say this. You do have to keep blaming the elected officials.
You have to.
You working 40 hours a week. And you tired when you get home, and those individuals are paid to make sure that your neighborhood is safe, that your roads are paved, that you basically have a good quality of life, the economic development and the resources in your neighborhood. Yes, you got to keep blaming them, but just don't point the finger. Just also get busy. But recognize this, that if all the citizens cared about the violence, then the government cannot get complacent. If every time someone is shot, we get louder, we get more outraged, there's more protest, there's more demonstration, they're gonna have to deal with it, and they cannot desensitize or pass over it. It is a reflection of how active we are if our elected officials are fighting for the issue.
Pretty much, all of them make $120,000 a year, and they for a part-time job, and they pretty much glorified janitors. But I want to talk about this boycott Black Friday, November 25th, 2016. I got a flyer here from my friends at CPAC, but there's so many other people. They said 10 a.m. in front of Water Tower Monument. That's 806 North Michigan Avenue. If they don't give us what we want, we're going to shut it down. Just like last year. Speak a little more on that because I know you're going to be out there. Not just CPAC. Everybody that's a part of and wanting justice in Chicago. Because if they don't give us justice, we got to shut stuff down. So can you highlight that a little bit? Talk about what's going to go on November 25th if we don't get some things that we've been demanding or asking for as far as from our elected officials and the powers that be.
One of the most powerful ways outside of voting that we can be heard is with our dollars, our economics. We keep spending money with our oppressors, and it's not getting us anywhere.
Come on.
And so basically, when actions are saying we're getting what we want, or we're shutting it down, or we're going to withhold our money, basically says that we've come to the point where we identify that the system is not designed for us to succeed. And so it's time for us to take the architecture of that into our own hands and start investing in us and shutting down entities and boycotting entities that are not for us. So with this particular action, I'm actually very supportive of everything CPAC is doing and a ton of other people. And there's no shortage of marches and protests and things going on in Chicago, but we can't get tired because freedom is a never-ending march. Justice is a never-ending meeting. But these particular actions, I think, are very, very critical for us to support. But this particular one, as I'm continuously getting to know more about what it is and get more acclimated with it, boycotting and protesting and shutting things down is pretty much the language of the day. It's what we need to be.
Okay, man. Let them know real quick where they can reach you before we leave right quick.
I can be reached on, I'm on Facebook, Jedidah Brown, Jedidah, but also Chicago Life is the name of my organization. You can Google us as well as Young Leaders Alliance and give you a plethora of numbers. And my email is abouttchange@hotmail.com. Abouttchange@hotmail.com. I'm the only Hotmail user that's still out there.
My brother, appreciate you, man. Hey, it's Pastor Kevin. My boy Jedidah Brown, it's Community Unity Now. DTycoon, thank you for allowing us to be here. KNCV, we love you. Chicago, we love you. The sign says Community Unity Now. Let's start having some. God bless you. Peace.